Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Ashtotar Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. Tonight, or today, this morning, depending on where you are, it's Friday, January 19th, 2024 in New York. And if I've heard properly, Maharaj is on a train on his way to Jagannath Puri just now, and glad that he could be with us. And tonight we'll be picking up where we left off, which is in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 27, text number 20. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. And Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is Devahuti Mataji speaking to her son, Lord Kapiladev. Kvachit tattva marshena nivritang bhavam uban anivritta nimittatvat punaha pratyavatishtate. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. And just to go back one verse to see where this sentence comes from. So she, last we heard, the previous verse, she says, hence, even though he, in other words, the soul, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? And then today's, even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Now, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita 7:27 states, Ichcha dvesha samuttena. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is ichcha, which means desire to lord it over material nature, or to be as great as the Supreme Lord. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. Dvesha means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all in all and all? I'm as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. As long as a philosopher, salvationist, or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains, and there is no question of his liberation. Devahuti very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed, but actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. There is a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam 10:14-4 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Klishyanti ye kevala bodha labdhaye. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. The example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So, kvachit tatvavamarshena nivritang bhayam ulbanam anivritta nimittatvat puna pratyavatishtete. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause is not ceased. Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shulakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangs Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangs Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The question that Devahuti is raising here is similar to what we have nowadays in the world of medicine, especially Western medicine, which usually aims at dealing with the symptoms of a disease rather than trying to nullify the cause of the disease. They're very expert in dealing with symptoms. Say you have some rash, they'll give you some cortisone cream to put on the rash, but where that rash came from, how it got to be there, what you've been eating, what you've been doing, are you under stress? These questions typically don't arise in modern doctor's office. We'll just deal with the symptoms, and then if the treatment for dealing with the symptoms persists, then we'll send you to another specialist and he'll give you some other kind of cream or something like that. But here, that whole process is akin to the pursuit of knowledge of the absolute truth, simply by the process of mental speculation and, as Devahuti says, inquiry into the fundamental principles. And Prabhupada goes on at some length in the purport about how saying that just by mental speculation, you'll just get exhausted. You won't reach the conclusion that you want. You won't reach any ultimate conclusion. And the result of all of your labor in mental speculation will just be labor. You'll just get sweaty or tired. The result of your labor of love will be labor only, because how can you reach any kind of actual conclusion without there being actual knowledge coming to you. Like we're just reading now in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. No, I'm sorry, seventh chapter, where Krishna says, Asangshayam samagramam yata gyasyasi tatchenu. If you hear from me, then you'll have some conclusive knowledge. Because after all, I'm the conclusion of all knowledge. And if you hear that knowledge from me, guess what? You'll also have that conclusive knowledge. But even the greatest of speculative philosophers, even going at the speed of the mind for a very long time, they'll just keep going and going and going, because it is impossible to search out things like ultimate causes or anything ultimate simply on the power and strength of one's own speculative muscles. You won't really get anywhere. Maharaj, so far, are there some comments you'd like to make on this verse and purport? Not sure where that sound is coming from, because everyone else is muted except me, but there's some noise coming through the line. All right, Krishna. I'm sorry to say, Maharaj, we're unable to hear you. Yes. Okay, maybe he'll try logging back in so we can hear him more clearly. Thank you. Yes. Oh no, we can't hear Maharaj. All right, Krishna. So he's just logged back on. We'll see if he can pick up a better signal with his microphone.
Yeah. Are we better now?
We can hear you. There's considerable noise in the background, but we can hear you. It's certainly better now.
Let me see if maybe that's better.
We're hearing you.
Still, this is what do we say? Abhishuddha. Krishna says, but Bhagavatam says that the intelligence of those who are impersonalists, Abhishuddha, not completely. Maybe some pure, certainly more pure than those who are attached to just trying to enjoy material nature, but not vision. Because the cause is still there. This situation. Let me enjoy. And why should Krishna be the controller? That so, and then Prabhupada quotes this, quotes the significant verse, from Tim Buckton. Those who are trying to understand personally that useless. Shreya Sritin Bhakti Udasyate. If someone gives up Udasya, for someone who rejects the auspicious path of Bhakti, Shreya Sritin Bhakti Udasyate. Oh Lord, Nishyanti, and he's undergoing a lot of facial stage, asakta. He's attached to something impersonal, where he's trying to get free from material nature by philosophical endeavor. Able above the age, just to get Tesham so Resham, Eva Shishite. What's left for them, after all their efforts is just inflation, trouble they've undertaken. That's all they finally wind up with. Not anya, nothing else. And then the example from religious like those who are undergoing so much trouble, they're husking paddy, husking paddy. The empty paddy that there's without anything in it. So the endeavor is there, and some idea is there that I should be going. I'll switch to that. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Prabhuji, you are on mute. You are not able to. Hare Krishna. Again, Prabhuji, you are on mute.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. There are two things that jumped out at me. One from the verse where Devahuti is saying, speaking about the great fear of bondage, and she's understanding the limitations of speculation to really get at the heart of the cause of that fear. Is that and I think that anyone who comes to transcendence, Krishna consciousness, that fear may persist until they understand that those two items that Prabhupada goes to some length discussing, the ichcha and the dvesha. If you understand that the cause of that fear of bondage is my own desire to enjoy, to be the greatest, or whatever, and then if you still have some reaction to hearing about Krishna's greatness that pinches you even the slightest bit, then that's like an expert diagnosis that there's still treatment left to be done on you. Your protocol has not yet reached the end of its term, and that's very encouraging because those two items can't be dealt with just by the speculative process. And that's why my understanding is that bhakti yoga is the way to go, because you immediately plug your senses into the activities of loving and serving Krishna, who's deep down maybe the person that you just can't stand and wish that you were. So it's like the process of homeopathy. You have some affliction, and you deal with that affliction by getting very therapeutic doses of that very thing that's troubling you. Saraswati Mata, please go ahead.
Pranams to all. So Srila Prabhupada has made it very clear the actual cause. We don't have to speculate to try and figure out and come to the point of what is this cause that makes us attracted to the material nature. And I was listening to a lecture given by Srila Prabhupada yesterday, I believe it was, where he was talking about this master-servant relationship. And he said it's natural in one sense to try and for the servant to think, well, why is the master getting everything? Why is he being put in such a comfortable position, getting good things to eat, a nice bed? And so Srila Prabhupada said, in one sense, it's natural for the servant to think that way. But I think, although this, to me personally, I'm thinking that this until we come to a point that we actually understand what is it to be a servant, because we just relate it to the material definition of what it could be to be a servant. Servant is somebody in an inferior position, someone that's controlled, and we sometimes cringe and think, well, why would I want to be a servant? Because we think of these masters that exploit you, put you in this oppressive position, don't even give you a choice. So we start sort of relating to that definition. But until we come to a point of what it is to actually serve with having this love, I sort of think about a mother and child. The mother never thinks, oh, well, why am I serving? Well, naturally, if it, in a natural way, she wouldn't think, why is this child so demanding? Why am I doing it? You just, it's so natural to attune yourself to the needs of that child. You just want that child to be happy, to have the needs met, and you go to any length to try and make sure that that child is happy and thriving. So I think until we can understand what it is to be in this relationship with Krishna, to serve, it's such a privilege to have that opportunity to be able to have this love and serve Krishna. But until we can actually really understand it, not on a theoretical level, but through bhakti yoga, to come and practice and experience this joy in serving, it really becomes very difficult to try and separate ourselves from having these perverse ichas. And of course, those who think, well, we shouldn't have desires, let's kill having desires by making ourselves into nothing. That's just another one way of still having a desire, because it's not a natural desire that is in tune with your constitutional positions. And we see that then they fail, then they come back again down to this material field of activity. But I think it's until we really can experience and understand this great privilege it is to serve Krishna, we just have to keep continuing until we get to that stage. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so much, Mata. Maharaj, did you have any more comments on this verse?
I hope you were able to hear the earlier one. Yeah. Hello.
I'm not sure I caught everything what you just said, Maharaj. I had to turn your volume way up to. All right. All right, Hare Krishna. Priyanka Mataji says, is the great fear of bondage mentioned here referred to the fear of being trapped in the cycle of birth and death, which gets temporarily avoided because of thinking oneself to be the Supreme Lord, or speculating that ultimately everything is void? We'll see if perhaps Maharaj is able to field that. While we're seeing if he can get a audio signal, I just want to have a peek at what Srila Vishwanath has to say. His purport is very short on this particular verse. He just says, and this is his commentary, Sometimes, though one almost completely destroys samsara, it appears again. And the translation of his of the verse is that sometimes fear of samsara is destroyed by considering the elements, but fear then returns because of not destroying samsara's cause, which Prabhupada goes into in some detail. Maharaj, are you able to get back into our conversation here? He says in the chat, without practical activity, the fear will remain. Yes, which reminds me of some bit of wisdom I learned from a friend who said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Yeah, full engagement of the senses. Is that all right, Priyanka Mata, or is there something further that you wanted?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Raj.
Jai. All right. So if there's no more further comments or questions on text 20, I was going to see whether Saraswati Mata would like to read our text 21.
Okay, I can try. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Animita Nimatena. Sorry if it sounds like I'm it's so broken, but because I'm actually trying to read the Sanskrit. Swadharmanamalatmana Tavriya Mai Bhakta Cha Shrutasa Mamprutya Chiram. This probably sounds so awful. Anyway, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service onto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. By thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction and one will be freed from the contamination of matter. Purport. Sridhar Swami comments in this connection that by association with material nature alone, one does not become conditioned. Conditional life begins only after one is infected by the modes of material nature. If someone is in contact with the police department, that does not mean that he is a criminal. As long as one does not commit criminal acts, even though there is a police department, he is not punished. Similarly, the liberated soul is not affected, although he is in the material nature. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is supposed to be in association with material nature when he descends, but he is not affected. One has to act in such a way that in spite of being in the material nature, he is not affected by contamination. Although the lotus flower is in association with water, it does not mix with the water. That is how one has to live, as described here by the personality of Godhead Kapiladev. Animita nimitana swadharmana malatmana. One can be liberated from all adverse circumstances simply by seriously engaging in devotional service. How this devotional service develops and becomes mature is explained here. In the beginning, one has to perform his prescribed duties with a clean mind. Clean consciousness means Krishna consciousness. One has to perform his prescribed duties in Krishna consciousness. There is no necessity of changing one's prescribed duties. One simply has to act in Krishna consciousness. In discharging Krishna conscious duties, one should determine whether by his professional or occupational duties, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is satisfied. In another place in the Bhagavatam, it is said, Swanushtitsya dharmasya samasiddhir hari toshanam. Everyone has some prescribed duties to perform, but the perfection of such duties will be reached only if the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is satisfied by such actions. For example, Arjuna's prescribed duty was to fight, and the perfection of his fighting was tested by the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna wanted him to fight, and when he fought for the satisfaction of the Lord, that was the perfection of his professional devotional duty. On the other hand, when, contrary to the wish of Krishna, he was not willing to fight, that was imperfect. Do you still want me to continue reading, or are we supposed to stop to discuss? What is your preference?
Well, we can pause here to see if perhaps Maharaj has some comments so far in our purport. Thank you for asking.
Well, how's my audio?
Your audio right now sounds good, Maharaj.
Okay. Well, this is all has to do with unmological purification of consciousness. The Prabhupada's point, which Sridhar Swami's point, that just associating with material nature isn't a problem, but the problem is that we have a desire to lord it over material nature, and then we become entangled. What is that? Prakriti, Purusha Prakriti Stohi, Bhukte, Prakriti Jangana, Karanam Purusam Kausya, Sadasatyo. The problem is that the Bhukte Prakriti Jangana, we want to enjoy the products of material nature. Karanam Purusam Kausya. This becomes the cause of our actual association with material nature, bondage by material nature. And Prabhupada, thank you. Yeah, Prabhupada references Bhagavad Gita, Padma Padramiyam, the 510, Brahmani, Sangam Kuro, Lipyate, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sangam Chakra, giving up the desire for sinful reaction, but the lotus flower are affected by the water sitting. And then we get the next verse, Kayeni Manasa, Buddhya, Kevala, Yogina Karma, Sangam Tattva. The Krishna conscious person acts with body, mind, words, even with the senses. But Atma Shuddhi only for self-purification. Sangam Tattva, giving up desires. The karma palam chakra, shanti, the karma body, Hare Sabda. Krishna conscious person gives up attachment to the results of fruitive activities. So he actually becomes, but the person who's not Krishna conscious, who's motivated by desire to joy, becomes entangled in the results of activity. So Atma-shuddhi, one has to have pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And how that will be so, the Lord will explain.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. We got a lot of that. It's the audio signal is not ideal, but I think we got the main thrust of what you were saying. Thank you. Saraswati Mata, would you like to continue with the purport? We'll move on.
Yes, I just wanted to say that our measuring meter is whatever activities that we perform, how satisfying and pleasing is that to Krishna? And they've given the example of Arjuna. We're always given the example of Arjuna because he's the one who found himself in such a dilemma on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And just the other day I was thinking, Arjuna had disclosed how difficult it is to fight against those that he loves, his family members. And then I got to thinking, well, what about those that were in the Narayani Sena, the army of Krishna, who were delegated to fight opposite Krishna? And, how hard must it have been for them to fight against Krishna, the Pandavas, all those that were on the side of Dharma? That couldn't have been easy. They didn't really have a choice. They were just delegated, drafted to do this. So it just got me to thinking, oh, Jay to the Narayani Sena, even the foot soldier, because that cannot be easy to have to fight against your beloved Krishna. No way could that be easy. We know Arjun had it difficult, but I think those on the Narayani Sena had it even more difficult. Anyway, I'm going to continue. If one wants to perfect his life, he should discharge his prescribed duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. One must act in Krishna consciousness, for such action will never produce any reaction. Anmita nimittane. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yagnartat karmano nyatra. All activities should be performed simply for yajna, or the satisfaction of Vishnu. Anything done otherwise, without the satisfaction of Vishnu or yajna, produces bondage. So here it is also described, or rather prescribed by Kapila Muni, that one can transcend material entanglement by acting in Krishna consciousness, which means seriously engaging in devotional service. This serious devotional service can develop by hearing for long periods of time. Chanting and hearing is the beginning of the process of devotional service. One should associate with devotees and hear from them about the Lord's transcendental appearance, activities, disappearance, instructions, etc. Should we pause there, or should I just continue till the next paragraph?
We can pause and let's see if Maharaj's audio signal is okay. Maharaj, would you like to speak on these points? He says, carry on.
Okay. There are two kinds of Shruti or scripture. One is spoken by the Lord and the other is spoken about the Lord and his devotees. Bhagavad Gita is the former and Srimad Bhagavatam the latter. One must hear these scriptures repeatedly from reliable sources in order to become fixed in serious devotional service. Through engagement in such devotional service, one becomes freed from the contamination of Maya. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam that hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead cleanses the heart of all contamination caused by the influence of the three modes of material nature. By continuous, regular hearing, the effects of the contamination of lust and greed to enjoy or lord it over material nature diminish. And when lust and greed diminish, one then becomes situated in the mode of goodness. This is the stage of Brahman realization or spiritual realization. In this way, one becomes fixed on the transcendental platform. Remaining fixed on the transcendental platform is liberation from material entanglement.
Some comments, Mata?
Actually, I have a very serious question, and I'm not sure that 15 minutes is going to be able to answer this, because I read a little bit further on and it completely threw me off, because I read, and this is in the same canto text, chapter 32:15, and I was hoping I could answer this question before we get to it, because here it says that, what does it say? Okay, it talks. I was under the impression, since we read, I think, canto 2 or 3, that Lord Brahma, when he was concerned about becoming entangled with material creation, he wanted to be. He was worried that he would be entangled, and he needed protection. And that time, if I recall correctly, the Lord assured him that he would be free from all these material entanglements, and that he would be liberated. So I was thinking, oh, all right, well, that's very nice. But then here it says he wouldn't be. Because it says Lord Brahma has his own interest separate from the Lord. And then it says he comes back down and he achieves certain amount of, where does he get liberated up to a certain stage, and then he comes down, and it just really threw me off, because I didn't think that would happen, and that Lord Brahma, being our founder of our sampradaya, I didn't think that would happen. Where am I seeing this? It's text 15, chapter 32, and it says not only Lord Brahma, but the Kumara and Marichi, all of them come back down. Okay, where did I read it? I made a whole bit in the Srimad. That he's liberated up to a certain stage, and then he comes back down. He has to come. Yeah, Brahma comes back. Well, why does he come back? Sometimes Brahma thinks that he is independent of the Supreme Lord, and the worshipper also thinks that Brahma is independent. For this reason, after the destruction of this material world, when there is again creation by the interactions of the material modes of nature, Brahma comes back. Although Brahma reaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, who is full with transcendental qualities, he cannot stay in the spiritual world. Well, I don't understand why he can't, because I thought he went back to Vaikuntha, because the Lord said that he would be protected. This is a very serious confusion for me, massive serious confusion. I hope Maharaj can help me get out of this, because it's very disheartening to hear that after all this, Lord Brahma has to come back down, along with the Kumaras and Marichi. Very disturbing to me.
Right.
A lot of the time, these things come from different commentators. So Prabhupada's pulling in, and Prabhupada typically he'll cite different commentators without citing them, or refer to different commentators without citing them, and so you sort of have to watch for that. Generally, as you mentioned, Prabhupada takes the position that, and Shastra takes the position that Brahma is liberated, and there are quotations to that effect. At the end of the destruction of the universe, then Brahma goes back to Godhead with his associates. Even said, I think that verse is quoted. Commentary. But in the context of making a brief point in some other section of one commentator or another may give a different point of view. No, Brahma comes back, Kumara comes back, and so on. So we have to see the point that's being reinforced there. I didn't note down the verse you were, but these discrepancies usually come from that. We're getting different angles of vision, all sort of merged together in Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. Prabhupada doesn't always give us signs that this commentator says this commentator says that. It's all just one continuous narrative. But if we supply that understanding, that all right, different commentators who say things under different circumstances to highlight the point, then it becomes less confusing. I hope.
Were you able to um, hear him properly, Saraswati Mata? Was that enough? Is that okay?
I think what Maharaj was saying is there's different commentators and different commentaries that we get. I actually thought that because Lord Brahma, he during Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, he came as he's Harinam, Haridas Thakur, and we worship him. So it just made no sense to me how they could have to come back down. Like you would be going back to Godhead for sure. So it was very disheartening because it almost doesn't give you any hope. I mean, for me, it's just a hopeless, if Lord Brahma, with everything that we've heard about him, all the reassurances he got, how could it be that he has to come back down, that he can't go back to Godhead permanently? So that's what kind of threw me off. But yes, that was very nice. Then I almost got to thinking, well, are we talking about a different Brahma? Because Brahma is not the name of an individual; it's a position. So it could be a Brahma from a different universe. So I thought, well, maybe they were referring to maybe one exceptional Brahma that had to come down. So those were just some thoughts that were coming, but I was quite baffled. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj says different Brahma. That can also be. There are a lot of them. We have
Not our Brahma, the one who is Haridas Thakur, not that Brahma.
Yeah, right. So we have a little bit of time. We can finish this purport and then discuss a bit and then have kirtan. Is that okay? We didn't quite finish the purport, right, Mataji? We have one more paragraph left.
I thought we finished it. Didn't we finish it? I thought we finished it. You know what? I've lost my place now. So sorry about that because I went to read that further ahead. So I lost my place. Where are we? What chapter? So sorry about this.
No problem. We're in
27?
27 and towards the end of the purport for text 21.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. 20.
No,
Yeah.
no, you're right. No, we did finish.
Yes, thank you, Hari.
We did definitely finish it. And I found it interesting that last paragraph of this verse's purport, Prabhupada is going right through those verses in the second chapter of the Bhagavatam, starting with Shinvata Svakata Krishna, all the way through Evang Prasanna Manaso and Vidyate Hridaya Granti, takes you through all those very famous verses. Priyanka Mataji has a question there in the chat. She says, how to measure time to time if our activities are satisfying Lord Krishna?
Our guru can help definitely with this.
Sure. Yes, and Maharaj underscores what you just said. When the spiritual master is satisfied, Krishna is satisfied.
What about if somebody's Diksha Guru is no longer physically present on this planet? And sometimes where you have Shiksha Guru, but for some who may not have a Shiksha Guru, what happens there?
Maharaj, care to comment on that?
Say that the representative of the guru, we would be working under someone, temple president or authority, Prabhupada would say. So when they're satisfied, then we take it that the spiritual master is satisfied. They're representing the spiritual master. So that's one answer. The other thing is we have to utilize the instructions of the spiritual master. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chitete Koriya Aikya. Aikya means oneness. there should be oneness between what's in our mind and what's in the spiritual master's mind. How do you get that? By keeping making his instruction the heart and soul. But by making, okay, they're having some fun here. When we make the instructions of the spiritual master our heart and soul, then then Krishna will help us from within the heart. Then we'll see that no, I didn't. The spiritual master instructed this. I have to do this, or I didn't do this. So when that's internalized, arna kuriya mani asha, when one has no other business, when one is fixed in trying to please the spiritual master, then one will get clarity. So Prabhupada was said that I never felt that I was separated from my spiritual master. I felt that he was with me because he was focused on carrying out the orders of his spiritual master. I think that's as much as I can get away with saying here.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you, Priyanka Mata, for asking the question. And Priyanka says, thank you, Maharaj. And we have reached 7:58. So it's now time for Kirtan. And I was going to ask if Krishna Kanteya Prabhu is available to lead us in Kirtan on this Friday evening. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev, Jai Jaya, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jayam Vishnu Padmahamsa, Jagacharya, Asto Stada Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jayam Vishnu Padmahamsa, Jagacharya, Asto Stada Sati, Srimad, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Silharidas Thakur Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar Shivasari, Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun, Radhakun, Giridovardhana Ki Jai, Sri Vrindavan Dhamma Ki Jai, Sri Mathura Dhamma Ki Jai, Sri Navadvip Dhamma Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dhamma Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki, Muna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Priya Madanga Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, Jai Sri Guru and Guranga, Jai Sri Prabhupada.
Jai, thank you so much, Krishna Kanteya Prabhu. And thank you, Maharaj, for joining us via train on your way to
Thank
Jagannath.
you, Caitanya Prabhu. It's okay. Let me just give a gentle reminder that our standard for kirtan in these meetings is just Hare Krishna, no Jai Gurudevs, no extra Jais, just Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hare Krishna. That's all we need. But the kirtan is very nice. Thank you very much. And thank you for everything else in the class. Friends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends Ki Jai.
Salaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj and Ikendra Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.